Okay, after allowing 6 months to go by, I think it may now be possible to offer an assessment of why Hillary Clinton lost the 2016 presidential race to Donald Trump, without risking getting my head bitten off. Maybe. I still contend that Clinton is just about the only Democrat that could have lost to Trump. And even she had a chance to beat him. But despite her protests to the contrary, her loss had nothing to do with Russia, WikiLeaks, FBI investigations, the supposed inequities of the Electoral College, or American dysfunction. She simply lost. She failed to get the people she needed to vote for her. She has to own that every bit as much as she would have done had she won. So, in no particular order, here is my assessment of 10 reasons why Donald Trump is president today, or perhaps more importantly, why Hillary Clinton is not. Number 1, whether because of bad polling, bad advice, bad leadership, bad instincts, or a bit of all of the above, she completely missed the voter revolt taking place in the Rust Belt. She took those voters for granted, but they were suffering, and Trump was the only candidate that seemed to get that. Number 2, those folks in the Rust Belt and elsewhere across the country who were feeling marginalized after 8 years of policies that hadn't really helped them, they were already leaning Trump when Hillary gave them a great big good hard push by calling them a basket of deplorables. Though she insisted she wasn't talking about them, that didn't matter. This excruciating and offensive gaffe was akin to Mitt Romney's 47% comment 4 years earlier. It was inexcusable, it was hurtful, it was devastatingly revealing to those hurting people. Number 3, American voters liked Obama, though they were less enthusiastic about his policies, especially after 8 years of marginal and scattered success. This is easily demonstrated by looking at the midterm elections during his presidency. When he was on the ballot, his party fared well. When it was only his policies on the ballot and not him, well, his party got, to quote the president, shellacked. But Hillary ran as a continuation of the Obama presidency, a cementing of his legacy, if you will. This left her saddled with all those unpopular policy positions without any of Obama's personal appeal or charisma. Number 4, one of Obama's attractions was the opportunity to be a part of history. He would be the first African-American president, and by voting for him, Americans made themselves part of that historic moment. But that wasn't his only appeal. After 8 years of Republican policies under George Bush, Obama brought a fresh vision and campaigned on a whole list of new ideas. In the end, Hillary gave voters only one new, concrete reason to vote for her. She would be the first woman president. Come be part of history. Combine that with the perception of Trump as a misogynist, and you pretty much have her entire argument in a nutshell. Number 5, she lied repeatedly about her private email server. She got caught lying by the FBI. This wasn't the FBI's fault. It was hers. Having been caught, she dismissed it as an unimportant distraction brought on by haters. This caused voters to question the truth of everything she was saying or had ever said about anything. Number 6, her campaign was distant and aloof, almost to the point of arrogance. Though she gave lots of stump speeches, open exchanges where the voters and the press could have access to her were tightly controlled. She was untouchable, unknowable, and, as a result, unlikable. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who used social media, Twitter to be specific, in such a way that people felt like he was easy to reach, like they had real access to him 24/7. And yes, it was the brazen, sometimes crude, oftentimes rude, and almost always controversial nature of those tweets that made that possible. Even while they were being offended, it seemed clear to the voters that they were experiencing the real deal. not just a group of pollsters and consultants crafting each tweet from behind the scenes. Number 7. Her campaign failed to learn from recent history. In the Republican primary, it was, ironically, Donald Trump who had led in Iowa wire to wire, only to be out-hustled in the closing days, resulting in a surprise loss to Ted Cruz. Come late October, it was Hillary's campaign that appeared complacent, seeming to lose steam in the home stretch. She had a well-oiled, well-financed machine. The media, based on poll results, were prepping for a coronation. There was no sense of urgency in the final couple of weeks, and, well, voters picked up on that and interpreted it as a lack of enthusiasm by Hillary for the job she was asking for. And there were a lot of people finally making up their minds who they were going to vote for in those final weeks. The loud, aggressive, blowhard ball of energy? Or the lady who seemed to be phoning it in? Number 8. Republicans are usually the ones who fall into the it's his turn trap. See Bob Dole, John McCain, Mitt Romney as exhibits A, B, and C. This time, it was the Democrats who decided it's her turn, and they handed her the nomination. It should be noted that every single one of the my turn candidates ultimately went down to defeat. Your turn might be enough to get you the nomination, but it's not a big enough message to bring the rest of the country with you. Number 9. Because the way the Democrats nominate their candidate, which, by the way, makes the Electoral College look like a paragon of democracy, no other serious candidates were interested in challenging Hillary Clinton for the nomination, owing to the fact that she had an insurmountable lock on the superdelegates. That left self-described socialist Bernie Sanders with an opening to energize the radical left wing of the party, which he did to an extraordinary degree. This forced Hillary far to the left, so far during the primaries that she wasn't able to effectively recalibrate for the general. As a result, moderates who had voted for Obama wound up looking elsewhere. Some of them found Trump, but some of them found Jill Stein, and others found Gary Johnson or a slew of other third-party candidates. The point is, those folks never did come home to Hillary. Number 10. Republicans didn't like her. Independents didn't like her. Even many of the Democrats who ultimately held their noses and voted for her didn't like her. She had a core of devoted followers, to be sure, but even among them, many were committed more to her gender than they were to her. And although her opponent was a guy who was widely loathed, so was she. If Democrats hope to mount a serious challenge to an incumbent president in 4 years, they need to get honest with themselves about what went wrong this time around. If they don't, they'll wind up fixing all the wrong stuff, find themselves scratching their heads in 4 years asking, how on earth did this guy beat us? Twice.